Isis was one of the main deities in the religion of ancient Egypt, whose worship also spread to the Greco-Roman world. Isis was an Egyptian goddess recognized as the most significant figure in the religious beliefs of that people. She also appeared in the beliefs of Greeks and Romans. Isis was an important goddess in the religious context of ancient Egypt, acknowledged as one of the most significant. She was first mentioned in the Old Kingdom as a central character in the myth of Osiris, in which she resurrects her husband, the King Osiris, and produces and protects their heir, Horus. It was believed that Isis aided the deceased in entering the afterlife in the same way she had done for Osiris, and she was also considered the divine mother of the pharaoh, who was linked to Horus. Her maternal assistance was invoked in healing spells to benefit the common people. Originally, she played a limited role in royal rituals and temples, but she was more prominent in funerary practices and magical texts. Artistically, Isis was depicted as a human woman wearing a hieroglyphic symbol resembling a throne on her head. In the New Kingdom, she assumed traits that originally belonged to Hathor, the most important goddess during the ancient period, and began to be portrayed wearing the headdress of Hathor, a solar disk between the horns of a cow. Osiris and Isis became the most revered deities within the Egyptian pantheon during the Third Intermediate Period, with her absorbing various characteristics from other goddesses. Rulers of both Egypt and its southern neighbor Nubia began constructing temples primarily dedicated to Isis, with her temple in Philae becoming a major religious center for both Egyptians and Nubians. The magical power attributed to her was greater than that of all other gods, with it being said that Isis protected the realm from its enemies, ruled over the heavens and the natural world, and even had power over one's own destiny. During the Ptolemaic Kingdom, when Egypt was ruled and colonized by Greeks, Isis came to be venerated by both Egyptians and Greeks alongside a new god, Serapis. This worship spread throughout the Mediterranean world. Greek followers attributed qualities to her that were reminiscent of Greek gods, including involvement in marriages and safeguarding ships at sea. They simultaneously upheld significant ties with Egypt and other Egyptian gods that held popularity in the Hellenistic realm, like Osiris and Harpocrates. Hellenistic culture was absorbed by Rome in the 1st century BCE, and the cult of Isis became a part of Roman religion. Her devotees were a small proportion within the population of the Roman Empire, but they could be found throughout its territory. Her cult developed distinct festivals like the Navigiem Isides, as well as initiation ceremonies similar to Greco-Roman mystery cults. Some of her followers claimed that she encompassed all the feminine divine powers of the world. The veneration of Isis waned with the rise of Christianity during the 4th and 5th centuries. It's possible that her worship influenced some practices and beliefs of Christianity, such as the veneration of Mary, but the evidence for this is ambiguous and often controversial. Isis continues to appear in Western culture, particularly in esotericism and neo-paganism, often as the embodiment of nature or as the feminine aspect of the divine. A controversial issue about Isis is whether her cult influenced Christianity. Some Isiac customs may have been among the pagan practices that were incorporated into Christian traditions while the Roman Empire was being Christianized. For instance, the historian Andreas Offoldi argued that the medieval carnival festival, in which a model of a boat was carried through the streets, developed from the Navigiem Isides. Significant attention has been given to the question of whether traces of Christianity were drawn from pagan mystery cults, including that of Isis. The most devoted members of the cult made a personal commitment to the goddess they deemed superior to others, much like the Christians. Both Christianity and the cult of Isis had an initiation ritual, the mystery of Isis, and baptism, respectively. One shared theme among these mystery cults is a deity whose death and resurrection might be linked to the well-being of their worshippers in the afterlife, akin to Christianity's central theme. The suggestion that the fundamental beliefs of Christianity might have been borrowed from mystery cults has sparked extensive debates for over 200 years. The similarities between Isis and Mary have also been examined. They have been a subject of controversy between Protestant Christians and the Catholic Church, as many Protestants view the Catholic veneration of Mary as a remnant of paganism. One of the most significant mentions of Isis is regarding her marriage to Osiris and her journey to recover the body of her husband. who was slain by Set, their brother. Osiris and Isis were married, and together they were the first rulers of the earth. They taught mankind how to cultivate the land, and the planet experienced years of great peace and prosperity under their just and prosperous rule. Set felt envious of all the power and respect his brother received, and this envy turned into deadly hatred when Osiris mistakenly lay with Nephthys, Set's wife. Set then devised a trap to capture Osiris and dispose of him. After capturing him, Set threw his body into the Nile River, though another version claims he murdered him. The disappearance of Osiris prompted Isis to embark on a quest to find him, eventually locating him in Byblos, Phoenicia. She brought Osiris's body back to Egypt, but Set discovered it and tore his brother into several pieces, scattering them across Egypt. Isis found all the pieces except for the phallus. She then performed a ritual to resurrect him and shortly after received Osiris's seed, conceiving their son, the god Horus. Isis was one of the most worshipped deities in Egyptian religiosity, and at a certain point in this civilization's history, the veneration was so extensive that all gods were somehow connected to her. Her cult was practiced throughout Egypt, with a central sanctuary located in Beit el-Hagar. The cult of Isis accepted both priests and priestesses who were responsible for maintaining the temple. Within the dedicated temples, there was a sanctuary accessible only to a priest. Its rituals were shrouded in secrecy, as initiates were encouraged to keep the details of the goddess's worship hidden. The practice seeped into Greek culture around the 4th century BC during Alexander the Great's reign over Egypt. Thus, Isis became directly associated with Demeter, the Greek goddess of agriculture. This connection was due to the secret nature of the rituals performed for her, similar to the Eleusinian Mysteries, the primary festival held for Demeter. Around the 1st century BC, the cult of Isis was also embraced by Roman religiosity, becoming deeply traditional. However, the growth of Christianity contributed to its decline, and the places in Egypt that still worshipped this goddess were permanently closed in the 6th century AD.